This first story was sent in by a guy named Marcus. He said this happened when he was 16, living with his mom and younger sister in a quiet neighborhood outside of Cleveland. Their house had a basement that was unfinished. Concrete floor, low ceiling, one small window near the top that barely let in light. The kind of basement that always smelled slightly damp, even in summer. Marcus said no one liked going down there. One night around 11 p.m., his mom asked him to grab a case of soda from the basement fridge. His sister was already asleep, and his mom was in her room folding laundry. Marcus didn't want to go. He always felt uncomfortable down there, especially at night. But he didn't want to seem scared. He walked to the basement door at the end of the hallway. The light switch for the stairs was on the wall. When he flipped it on, the bulb at the bottom flickered before glowing steady. He said that flicker always bothered him. As he walked down the wooden steps, he could hear the usual house sounds. The hum of the fridge, the furnace clicking, pipes faintly ticking. But halfway down he heard something else. A soft dragging sound. He froze. It sounded like something being slowly pulled across the concrete floor. He told himself it was probably a mouse, or maybe something shifted near the furnace. "Hello?" he called out, feeling stupid the second he said it. The dragging stopped. He waited, silence. He forced himself to walk the rest of the way down. The basement felt colder than usual. The single bulb cast long shadows across the walls. The fridge was on the far side of the room. As he crossed the floor, he felt this strong sense that someone was standing behind him. He turned around quickly. Nothing, just boxes, old furniture, the water heater. He opened the fridge and grabbed the soda. When he shut the door, he heard it again, dragging. But this time it was closer. It was coming from behind the stairs. There was a small space under the wooden staircase, blocked off by old boards and junk. He had never really looked under there before. The sound came again, slow scraping. He stepped toward the stairs, his heart pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. "Mom?" he called out, even though he knew she wouldn't be down there. No answer. He crouched slightly and leaned toward the dark space under the stairs. That's when he saw it, two shapes in the darkness. At first he thought they were just objects, but then they moved. Eyes, reflecting the light, too high off the ground to be a rat. The eyes blinked. Marcus stumbled backward, nearly dropping the soda. "Who's there?" he shouted. There was no response, just those eyes staring at him from the dark. Then slowly the shape shifted. He could make out what looked like a shoulder, a human shoulder. Someone was crouched under the stairs. Marcus ran up the steps two at a time, slammed the basement door shut and locked it. He told his mom everything. She grabbed a kitchen knife and told him to stay upstairs, while she called the police. When officers arrived, they searched the basement. They found nothing. Under the stairs was empty. No footprints, no signs of forced entry. But one officer noticed something Marcus hadn't. There were scratch marks on the concrete floor leading toward the stairs. Long drag marks, as if something heavy had been slowly pulled toward where Marcus had been standing. To this day, Marcus swears those eyes were human. And sometimes, late at night, he says he still hears dragging sounds through the vents. The second story comes from a woman named Alina. She had just moved into a rental home with her boyfriend. The landlord had told them one thing very clearly. "Don't worry about the basement. It's just storage." That sounded normal at first, until she asked for the key. "Oh," he said casually, "it stays locked. No need to go down there." That was strange. But the place was cheap. They needed it. A week after moving in, Alina started hearing noises at night. It always happened around 2 a.m. A dull thud, then faint footsteps. Below their bedroom, she would nudge her boyfriend. "Do you hear that?" He would listen for a second, then shrug. Probably pipes. But pipes don't sound like footsteps. One night the noise was louder, clearer. Step, 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 directly under their bed. Alina couldn't take it anymore. The next morning, while her boyfriend was at work, she went to the basement door. It was at the end of the kitchen, locked with a heavy padlock. She stared at it for a long time. Then she grabbed a hammer from the toolbox. It took her almost 15 minutes to break the lock. Her hands were shaking the entire time. When it finally snapped off, she slowly opened the door. The basement smelled terrible. Not just damp, rotten. She covered her nose and walked down the stairs. The basement was larger than she expected. Concrete walls, one bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. And in the center of the room, a mattress. Just a single dirty mattress on the floor. Next to it was a plastic bottle of water, some empty food cans, and a small radio. Alina felt sick. Someone had been living down there. As she stepped closer, she noticed something else. The mattress was still warm. She backed up slowly, her chest tightening. That's when she heard it. The basement door upstairs creaked shut. She spun around. Footsteps, slow, coming down the stairs. Step, step, step. She couldn't see who it was yet. The stairs were in shadow. Her heart was racing so hard she thought she might faint. "Hello?" A male voice called softly. It wasn't her boyfriend. It wasn't the landlord. It was a voice she had never heard before. She ran toward the opposite side of the basement and found a small window near the ceiling. It was just wide enough. She climbed onto a shelf and forced it open. Behind her, the footsteps were almost at the bottom. She didn't look back. She squeezed through the window, scraping her arms, and dropped into the yard. When police arrived later, the basement was empty. The mattress was still there, but the radio was gone. The landlord claimed he knew nothing about it. He said the basement had been locked for years. Alina moved out the next day. The scariest part? For weeks after, she would wake up at 2 a.m., certain she could hear footsteps. Even in her new apartment. The last story was sent in anonymously. The writer said he was 12 when it happened. His parents had strict rules about the basement. Never go down there alone, especially at night. They said it was because of the old wiring and exposed pipes. But one night during a thunderstorm, the power went out. The entire house went dark. His parents were out at a neighbor's house. He was home alone. The storm was loud. Rain pounding the windows, thunder shaking the walls. After a few minutes, he noticed something strange. There was light coming from under the basement door. A faint yellow glow. That didn't make sense. The power was out. He walked slowly toward it. The basement door was slightly open. He was sure it had been closed earlier. The light flickered like candlelight. He felt that heavy fear in his stomach. The kind that tells you to turn around. But he didn't. He pushed the door open. The stairs creaked as he went down. At the bottom, the basement looked different. There were candles placed all around the room, dozens of them. And in the center, a chair, facing the stairs. Someone was sitting in it, back turned to him. Long dark hair hanging over their shoulders. He whispered, "Mom?" The figure didn't move. Thunder cracked above the house. The candles flickered wildly. He took one more step down. The chair slowly began to turn. But before he could see the face, the power suddenly came back on. All the candles were gone. The basement was empty, completely normal. No chair, no person, just boxes and old furniture. He stood there shaking, trying to convince himself he imagined it. Then he noticed something on the concrete floor. Wet footprints, leading from the center of the room, up the stairs. He slowly turned around. The footprints went past him, up into the house. He ran upstairs, heart racing. The front door was wide open, rain blowing inside. His parents' car wasn't in the driveway yet. He searched the house. No one was there. But on the hallway mirror, written in water, "I'm home." He never went into that basement again. Even now, as an adult, he refuses to own a house with one. Because sometimes, he says, when storms roll in, he smells candle smoke inside his apartment. Which story scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.